Hello, everyone. This is Jim Ward, the CEO of the Phoenix Symphony. We're so glad that you joined us this evening on our wonderful opening week here, and we're really excited because we have Tito Muñoz with us today. But before we jump into Tito, we wanted to make sure that we collected everybody along the way here, and also to remind you that you can ask some questions of Tito directly by pressing *3 on the phone, and that'll put you into a queue, *3, and that'll put you into queue, and when we're ready to take questions, we'll get you on the line to ask Tito those important questions for you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. It is a very, very exciting season that we're about to launch this Friday at Symphony Hall. We hope that you're going to be joining us sometime this weekend. This is a season that you might have seen through our brochures and materials that we are calling Symphony Unexpected. And that's because not only in our amazing programming that Tito's going to walk you through, but everything that we're going to be doing this season, we hope to have very wonderful, unexpected experiences. We know that there's a lot of excitement about this next season coming up because we're taking a look at our subscriber base this year, and we have seen actual growth in subscribers for the first year in over 5 years, and that's, I think, a testament to the amazing job Tito did last season and, of course, the great programming structured for this season. And our single ticket sales are pacing significantly higher than even last year in Tito's inaugural year. So we are very, very excited about the momentum going into this season, and, of course, are very thankful for every one of you that is supporting us and helping us in whatever way, either through contributions or subscriptions or ticket sales or however that might be. So we're very, very excited. So with that, again, a reminder for those of you that might have just joined, because we are picking up people along the way, if you would like to ask Tito a question, just simply press #3. We'll put you in a queue, and when Tito's done, we'll get you on the line, and you can ask Tito some great questions, okay? So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tito for an overview of the season. And again, remember, press #3 if you have any questions. Tito.
Hi. Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be with all of you, and thank you, Jim, for that wonderful introduction. We've got a lot of really, really amazing things in store this year, and it's exciting for me to be here, my second full season with the Phoenix Symphony as your Virginia G. Piper music director. Of course, for our classics series, which is my responsibility for the most part, we're doing some really amazing things. We're opening with, of course, the favorite Beethoven Symphony No. 9, and that's happening this coming weekend, Friday and Saturday nights on the 18th and 19th, doing Beethoven Symphony No. 9 with our wonderful Phoenix Symphony Chorus. We've got some wonderful soloists, and we are really excited also about our opening piece, which is Adam Schoenberg's American Symphony. And Adam is a good friend of mine. He's a wonderful young American composer, and I wanted to open the season with a work by him, a work by an American composer, because that's going to be a running theme this year, is a works by young American composer. We have several on the docket this year, but Adam is one of them, and he closed our season last year with our Mahler he was the opening work, his Finding Rothko, which is inspired by wonderful Rothko paintings, which is a big hit with all of you. And so we wanted to bring him back and showcase him a little bit more this season. Closing our season is an incredible spectacle of a concert with Strauss's also Sprague Zarathustra, but we're going to have this wonderful visual display for all of you of images, NASA-generated images of the planet Earth. Some of you may remember from a few years ago when the Phoenix Symphony performed Gustav Holst's The Planets with HD imagery of NASA's images of the planets from outer space. And so they created a sequel to that, and that is to the music of Richard Strauss's also Sprague Zarathustra, and it's going to be images, again, from NASA of Earth from outer space. And to complement that concert, we're going to have a few film scores playing in the first half, Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan, as well as Philip Glass's soundtrack for The Secret Agent, a really wonderful score that he wrote to that movie. So those are two really wonderful things. We also have a few guest conductors coming in this season. Of course, Michael Christie, who I know is a real favorite of a lot of you, he's going to be coming back for one program with Respighi's Pines of Rome and Fountains of Rome. And that is coming up in October, at the beginning of October, along with a world premiere, another one of these American pieces that we're going to do of Daron Hagen Symphony No. 5. It's the world premiere, never been heard before, here in Phoenix, and Michael Christie will conduct it at that concert. We're also going to be doing a few things by a few other American composers. Andrew Norman, who's also a good friend of mine, Sean Shepard, and Missy Mazzoli. And these three composers are New Yorkers, actually.
Tito, if I can just interrupt you for 1 second, and I misspoke earlier. In order to queue up to talk to Tito, you should press *3. I might have mentioned the other #3, but that's not the case. It's *3. *3 if you'd like to ask a question to Tito. I just wanted to clarify that. I apologize that. Again, *3 to ask a question of Tito. And Tito, please continue. Thank you.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, we'd love to take your questions whenever you can. We'd love to hear from you. So again, to reiterate, doing these wonderful American composers, and several of them are people that I'm very close with, and they really write some really wonderful, wonderful music. And of course, on top of all of that, we're doing some favorites. Ravel Bolero. We're doing an all-Mozart concert with Eine kleine Nachtmusik and the 39th Symphony. We're doing Sibelius' Second Symphony, Rimsky-Korsakov's Scheherazade, Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique, Brahms' Second Symphony. So all these wonderful favorites of the classical repertoire. And so we're really proud of that. We're also really proud of our pop season and our specials, which is going to open with a really special concert, a tribute to the brave. It's classical repertoire, American repertoire, Copland, Barber, Shostakovich, with some multimedia images from the Civil War, from World War I and World War II. And it's a tribute to those who have fallen, to those who have fought for our freedom, and that will actually open our pops season. I will be conducting a concert with Pixar, music from the movies of Pixar animation, and that's going to have really wonderful visuals along with the orchestra playing along to a lot of these soundtracks. And that's something that I will be conducting in November, so take a look out for that. That's Thanksgiving weekend, actually, in November. And then Handel's Messiah, which, of course, is a favorite of everybody. I will be leading a week of performances of Messiah all around the Valley with some wonderful soloists. It's going to be our wonderful holiday tradition every year will happen in December. We have a few really incredible Broadway names coming to the Phoenix Symphony. Kristen Chenoweth, who was known for several performances, several shows, and even television and movies. And somebody you might not equate with Broadway, but he was a Broadway star before he became George Costanza on Seinfeld, and that's Jason Alexander. He's going to come to the Valley, to Phoenix, sing with our orchestra, and he's going to sing some Broadway show tunes. It's a really, really wonderful program. And then our Legend series, which I know is a favorite for a lot of you, Beatlemania, Michael Jackson, Billy Joel. It's a really special way of experiencing your Phoenix Symphony with the music of some of these really great legends. So all of that, we have a lot of really interesting things, a lot of fun things, and kind of something for everybody on this season. So we're looking forward to seeing a lot of you at Symphony Hall and anywhere we play throughout the season. So thank you all very much for listening, and I'd love to take some questions. So why don't we get started?
All right, great, Tito. Let's do that. And again, if you have a question, just dial *3, and we'll get you in the queue. And first up here, it looks like we have Erla. Erla, are you on the line with us?
Yes, I am.
Great. Do you have a question for Tito?
Yes. We have been members of the Pops concert series for many, many years, going way, way back. And you just did mention that you would be conducting one of the concerts, but that wasn't one. I don't think it was one that was in our regular rotation. But both my friends that we've been coming with have wondered why we never get to have you at any of our concerts. Last year when you came, you held those wonderful concerts, the half-hour concerts at Scottsdale. and we were able to attend one, and it was just absolutely wonderful. And we would love to have you come over and do something more on the pop side. Many years ago, there was one of the rock and roll groups joined with the symphony, and the conductor came out, and he was wearing his blue jeans and his black leather jacket and the whole thing, and he just really got into it, and it just made it so much more fun. And I think that even though
Tito, what do you say about that? Excuse me.
Well, I'm sorry, Early. Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it's a pleasure to hear from you, and I'm glad you're a loyal pop subscriber. I mainly do most of the classics. I do the one pops per season, but we bring in some really great pop specialists, and that's kind of the main reason why you don't see me very often, is because we have really great people who sometimes specialize in that repertoire, and as well, sometimes when we bring in a special guest, for instance, Kristen Chenoweth or Jason Alexander, they oftentimes come with their own conductors, because those are the people that they're sort of used to collaborating with, or they bring them when they go on tour and things like that. So there are a few reasons why, and so that's why this season you'll get me for Pixar. Last season I did the Oliver production that we did with the Phoenix Theater, and so at least you get me on one of those concerts. And as far as the 30-minute concerts, we plan on continuing that in Scottsdale. We're doing that usually is when we announce the new season, because the purpose of those concerts is to showcase some of the music that we're going to be performing the following season. So look out for that in February, because that's our plan. We're looking forward to doing that once again. So thank you very much for your question. Very, very much appreciated.
All right. Looks like next we have George on the line. George, are you with us here?
I am.
Hi, George. What question do you have for Tito tonight?
Oh, hi, Tito. It's an honor to be speaking with you. I know you've been expressing a lot of interest in young American composers, and I happen to be one. I've tried to show my work to Michael Christie. A little bit of a hard time doing that. But I was wondering what the likelihood is I could show you some of my work, and maybe one day we could talk about playing it.
George, thank you very much for calling. We really appreciate it. We certainly accept a lot of suggestions, submissions, and things like that. And you can always reach somebody at the Symphony through our general email, through our phone, and you can always mail me scores that you may have to my attention at the orchestra's office. And we do get them, and we do peruse them. So I think that's the best way that you can do that to get your work to us. I appreciate that question. Thank you very, very, very much.
Okay, great. Looks like next up we have Wendy on the line. Wendy, are you with us tonight, Wendy?
Yes, I am.
Super. Wendy, what question do you have for Tito?
First of all, Maestro, such a pleasure to hear you and to have you here in Phoenix. I have been a classic season subscriber for 27 straight years, and I've loved every minute of it, but you're bringing a new energy and excitement, and it's great to have you.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Wendy.
You're welcome. So my question had to do with how far in advance are the programs planned? Do you do the majority of the planning for the programs? And then similar to your previous caller, everybody probably has somebody, Tito, but I have a first cousin who is a longtime composer and very successful, and he's in Indianapolis at Butler University, and I'd love to have one of his pieces on the program, so I just wondered, similar to the other gentleman, how that might happen.
Well, the only way that generally happens, I'll tackle that question first, is again just sending any suggestions or any works to the office, and we do have people that take a look at all of that and peruse that, because of course as you mentioned, we have a lot of submissions, and of course there are a lot of really wonderful composers that we sometimes just don't get to, just because as you would imagine, we get a lot of those kinds of things. But I think that's the best way to do it. Send whatever you've got and have them send whatever they've got, and we'll take a look at them in that way. But for your other question, as far as how the programs get planned, it's pretty complicated, but they get planned quite well in advance. We're already talking about our following season, our 16-17 season. We're hoping to get that done as soon as we can because we do announce it at the end of February, and of course it has to go through a lot of screening and a lot of perusing on our part and on many people's parts. And of course, it also depends on the artists themselves, because we, especially in the Pops series, we have a lot of really well-known artists that come through that have very busy schedules, and so sometimes we have to really spend the time making sure that the dates work, that we have the dates in the hall. So it's a really complicated thing, and we really try to start to do that as soon as we can. So at least a year in advance, if not way more. So thank you very much for your question. I appreciate it, and let's go to the next.
Right, and for those of you that are interested in asking Tito a question, all you have to do is press *3, and we'll get you in the queue. And it looks like we have Charles up next. Charles, are you with us?
I am.
Great. Charles, what question do you have for Tito?
First of all, I want to acknowledge what several others have said about the energy and creativity that you brought to the programming, Tito. It's been marvelous. I certainly enjoyed Michael Christie and past conductors, but you have brought a creative energy and spirit to the programming that really, really appreciate.
Thanks, Charles. I appreciate that.
My question is a general one for conductors. I seem to see that many conductors shy away from pieces that might put the audience to sleep. Soft tone poems, The Swan of Tuonela by Sibelius, Debussy's In Gulf Cathedral, pieces like that, which I really enjoy. I used to work in a planetarium and play a lot of that music to the stars. So I wondered if you feel that it's tough to play pieces like that because your fear of putting the audience to sleep.
Oh, that's a very good question, and I am also I would say I have an affinity for a lot of pieces like that. I mean, good music is good music, whether it's loud and fast or whether it's soft and introverted and beautiful. And no, I personally don't. I can see why people would. And I can certainly see why marketing departments might get a little bit nervous about that kind of thing. But I think in general, I don't, and I don't know any conductors that do. Again, they may. But last season, for example, we did a really interesting. That I brought in a really interesting piece by Anton Webern. It was his Im Sommerwind that we did on a program with Mendelssohn's Fourth Symphony, and that was a very kind of introverted and beautiful, on the slow side kind of piece. I mean, there's the opening of the Lohengrin by Wagner, which is also really an incredibly beautiful and esoteric and ethereal piece. I personally don't shy away from that. I don't think about that when I program, but I think eventually you'll hear more of it. I mean, we'll see what happens in future seasons. But thank you again for your question. I really appreciate it.
All right, super. Looks like we have next up is Sandra. Sandra, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Thank you for taking my call. Maestro Muñoz, first of all, welcome to Phoenix for this second year. We're delighted to have you here with us. And my husband and I are season subscribers, and we divide our attendance between half classic and half pops series. And we were just curious as audience members how you find that the symphonic audiences in Phoenix differ in any respect, or perhaps what similarities they share from audiences where you have conducted previously in the past.
Oh, that's a very good question. I'd say in many ways they're different in different places, and similar. I mean, the energy, I think, is generally the same. I haven't found an audience that doesn't share an energy about the music that I mean, I think that's universal. When you play certain pieces, I think it really revs any audience up, whether they're audiences that know a lot about classical music or don't. I really think the music a lot of times does speak for itself. There are certainly places that I've been to that are more used to classical concerts, have a regular concert-going audience, a more knowledgeable audience. In Phoenix, we have a really exciting audience that knows, that really is very aware of the classical music and is very knowledgeable. You go to the big cities like New York, Los Angeles, you have a lot of that as well. So that's interesting, and it's interesting when you get an opportunity to actually do a little bit of education, and you can talk about the music to an audience that may not have heard it before. And I've done certain pieces here in Phoenix, in bigger cities, in smaller cities, the same piece, and have had different experiences, different feedback in that way. I think the energy is the same, but I think the excitement for hearing something new adds to that. And so audiences that haven't heard, for instance, a Brahms Second Symphony in a long time or ever, certainly has a unique energy to it. So I think for me that's the biggest difference, is really feeling that energy and what kind of experiences the audience have had. When you go to Europe, it's a little different too, because in Europe they take a little bit more ownership of this music because the music is from there. These composers are from there. So if you go to France and you play a French composer, they know that music very well, and so that's an interesting dynamic when you do French music in France and then do American music in France, and they don't know it at all. So that's always a very interesting dynamic. So I think those are the key differences and similarities between the audiences. Thank you very much for your question.
All right, great. Looks like we have Billy up next. Billy, are you on the line with us?
Yes, I am.
Super. What question do you have for Tito this evening?
Well, I'm hoping that you'll put more emphasis on the family concerts, because I've been going for some years now with my granddaughter and two great-granddaughters, and they dearly love the concerts, and so do I. I enjoy them enjoying the concerts. And my great-granddaughter and another student and her teacher were looking at pictures of instruments, and the teacher said, "What is that instrument?" And the other girl said, "That's a trombone." And Zoe, my great-granddaughter, said, "No, it's not. It's a French horn." And the teacher said, "Oh, Zoe, that's wonderful. How did you know that?" And Zoe said, "I go to the symphony."
Oh, that's really wonderful. That's wonderful that she got that experience to be able to have that. Well, I have to say we've upped our game on the family concerts this year. Not only do we have the 4 programs that are already in our season, which are a superheroes concert. In September we're doing Star Wars. In October we're doing a Schoolhouse Rock concert in January, and then we're doing a sports concert called Perfect Pitch in February. And so these are going to be that's our family series, which is exciting as it is, but I know we've done these concerts about Harry Potter, Hogwarts concerts in the past that have been so successful. We added 3 of those concerts in October to complement the already extensive family offerings that we have. So we're really working to really include everybody. And even in our Hogwarts concerts, it was not only for children. It was a lot of adults came to that concert and said, "We want more of this." So we gave it to them, and so we have these 3 wonderful concerts that we added in October that are going to be Halloween at Hogwarts for families and for whoever wants to come. So I do see you at those concerts. They're going to be really wonderful, and we have a new conductor that has joined our staff. His name is Matthew Casper. He is my assistant conductor, and he's going to be doing a lot of these concerts. So you're going to get a chance to know him and meet him, and he's going to be leading a lot of these programs. So thank you very much for that question. Appreciate it.
Yes, thanks so much, Billy, and thanks for all your support. Looks like we have Gene up next. Gene, are you with us here?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much.
Great.
Hi, Gene. How are you?
Thank you. A few times I've listened to recordings of Shostakovich Leningrad Symphony. It is really powerful. It's long. It's massive. It has a story of people, going through terror and coming out on the end, much better off, and it's in the music. I'm wondering if you could ever do that in Phoenix Symphony Orchestra.
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because that's actually something on the docket very soon. So you should look out for it, because if not next season, the season after, I do plan on doing the Shostakovich Leningrad Symphony. In fact, my first concert with the Phoenix Symphony as a candidate for the job was 3 years ago, and I did the 10th Symphony of Shostakovich. So Shostakovich is definitely something that I have an affinity for, and you will definitely be hearing the Leningrad here very soon, for sure. Thank you very much for that question.
Yeah, thanks so much, Gene. And for those of you that would like to ask Tito a question, just simply hit *3, *3, and we'll get you in the queue. And it looks like we have Daryl up next. Daryl, are you with us here?
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
All right, Daryl, what question do you have for Tito?
First, hello, good evening, everyone. Tito, my question is not music related at all. I'm new to the area, was a long-time subscriber to the Pensacola Symphony. Now I'm one at the Phoenix one, and I just need to know if you have any restaurant suggestions for a pre-dinner or post-dinner show.
Absolutely. Thanks for calling, and welcome. I mean, welcome. People are welcoming me, but welcome to you and being here, and hopefully having you with us for a long time. Yeah, downtown is revitalized quite a bit, and now there's so much going on right by the hall. Something that has a place that has been around for quite a bit and is always a go-to place for a lot of us is Hanny's, which is right around the corner from Symphony Hall. It's actually right across the street from our symphony offices, and that's a place that a lot of us go to fairly frequently. And then if you go around by a Cityscape, which is a new complex, it has an apartment building, a hotel, it has many, many restaurants and shops, and there's a wonderful restaurant called the Arrogant Butcher that is a favorite as well. There's the Blue Hound, which I've been to many times it's a separate thing, the Palomar, I guess? It's at the Palomar, yeah. So that's all at Cityscape, which is right just 2 blocks away from the Symphony. So that's just a few suggestions, but there's a lot going on downtown. So we hope to see you there. Thank you so much for that.
All right, yeah, thanks, Daryl. Yeah, we hope you come downtown, and we're glad you're a subscriber to the Phoenix Symphony. All right, the next one up on the line, I believe, is Christoph. Christoph, are you with us tonight?
Yes, I am. Hey, Tito. Hi, Jim. How are you doing?
Good, Christoph. How are you?
Doing great. Tito, great seeing you again in a couple of days. Looking really forward to the opening. As usual, I'm going to ask the question, what are you going to do to attract younger people, and not necessarily my age, but up below my age, like 20s and 30s? What are you going to do to attract those people, ladies and gentlemen, to come to the symphony? Because I know you're doing stuff with Hogwarts, which I'm so glad you added another concert, because finally I get a chance to it. But what are you going to 20s and 30s?
Hey, Christoph, it's nice to hear from you, and I'm looking forward to it. So Christoph is the head of our Young Professionals program, which I think is a wonderful way for a lot of people, a lot of young people to get involved with the orchestra, and I've really enjoyed going to a lot of the events that you guys have, and that's been a lot of fun. But as far as attracting younger audience, it's a really multifaceted issue. We really have to work really hard to do that, and so I'm trying to get out more in the community and trying to meet more people and meet new people to try to get them excited about the orchestra. We have a really interesting new programs and pops programs, and even in our classics concerts, a lot of the soloists and a lot of the composers that I'm bringing in are all on the younger side. I mean, they're all people my age, some are younger, and so it's really, really a great opportunity to kind of see peers and see colleagues on stage that I think will add a new life to the stage and a new life to the audience. So little by little, we're definitely tackling this and trying to get a lot of more young people into the audience, and I hope we do very soon. So, Christoph, thanks a lot, and I hope to see you very, very soon this weekend. Thanks so much.
And Christoph, also, just so you know, and everybody knows it's on the line, we're doing something fun this season for our classics concerts. If you're an adult and buy a ticket, you're entitled to a free child's ticket. A child can come with you to the classics concert, so we're trying to get them in that way as well. But
and also, if you are of drinking age, we actually allow folks to bring their drinks into the hall during our performances. So you can always buy a drink while you're there, and you can bring it in and enjoy it, so we don't have that restriction on not bringing those things into the hall. I think that adds a really nice element to the whole experience. So.
Absolutely. All right. Again, if you have a question for Tito, dial *3, *3. And up next, we have Rena. Rena, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Great. Rena, what's your question for Tito tonight?
My question is, Maestro, last year I had the opportunity to attend one of the open rehearsals that you held, which I found to be very interesting and really enjoyed it. I was wondering whether you had plans to have one or more open rehearsals this season.
Yes, we have a few open rehearsals that we are planning, but I believe it's just it's a benefit for subscribing or for donating actually. So we do have that as a perk for our subscribers and for our donors, and I believe it's in the brochure, and we're looking for it right now to try to give you exactly what it is in the subscriber benefits, I think. We'll have to look into that because I do know that we do have a program for that, and it is a benefit. So we plan on that. We don't generally open them up just to the general public because we have to put in some restrictions on it for the hall. But it is definitely a benefit for being part of our family in some way, whether it's subscribing or donating. So look out for that. We will have that for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rena. Okay. Next up again, if you would like to ask Tito a question. It's *3 on your phone, *3 on your phone. And next up we have Candy. Candy, are you with us on the line here?
Yes, I am.
Great. Candy, what's your question for Tito?
Tito, thank you for doing this. I have a question. What's your feelings on the appropriateness of applause in between movements, and based on that, your feelings on educating the audience?
Oh, that's a good question. This issue has been an issue for a very long time, and funny enough, it's an issue that has evolved throughout the history of our music, the Western music. In fact, you can read about some of Mozart's performances. Wolfgang Mozart and his performances of his concertos for piano or for violin, he writes letters to his father where he says that if he doesn't have applause while he's playing, when he does something very impressive for the audience, expecting to hear the audience approval, if he doesn't hear that, then he feels the performance was unsuccessful. So we could take it even further and look in history, and you can actually see examples of where composers actually were expecting the applause during the piece, while the piece was happening, much like jazz is today. So there is a precedent for that, and I think over the years it's evolved to the point where we have now, which is this very formal kind of way of listening to music. However, even now I see different places whenever I go and conduct in different places. Sometimes there's applause between movements, sometimes there's not. And some of those composers wrote their music expecting applause. For example, the end of a Tchaikovsky first movement of a symphony with this huge ending, and then you end, and then it's just silent in the audience. I'm not sure that that's actually what Tchaikovsky was thinking when he wrote that. But that's what we do now. That's sort of become a way of doing that. But I have a feeling that if we loosen up with that a little bit, I think people can sort of let the music move them. And I actually don't mind the applause between movements. I think it's really, really nice, and I try to acknowledge that whenever people do decide to clap, because I think it's important that people feel comfortable and people feel welcome and people feel like they can show us their appreciation for us, and we'd like to acknowledge that whenever that happens. So thank you so much for that question. It's a great question.
Okay, next we have, I believe, Henry, who might be calling us, I think, from Oceanside, California. Henry, are you on the line?
I'm on the line. Thank you.
Great. What's your question?
My question is a mechanical or simple one. I am in California, and I tend to be either in California or Scottsdale. And it's important to me to get tickets at the right time. And I order the 4 symphonies that are played in Scottsdale. That's and I haven't heard yet when they are going to come, and that's important because when I leave here, and if the tickets come here, it gets to be complicated. Do I make sense?
I think so. Jim, maybe you want to feel this? I don't know.
Yeah, let me take this one. Henry, so if you're a subscriber to our Scottsdale series, those tickets have already been mailed out. now. They might be at your Arizona address, but you know what, Henry, what we can certainly do is get your number, and we'll have you hang on the line. We'll have the box office give you a call back and make sure you're not missing out on those tickets, okay? But thank you so much for calling, and we'll take care of you here. We'll do that. So we have his number here, guys. Are we okay? Okay, good. Henry, you just stay on the line, and we'll give you a call back there. Thanks so much. Okay, next up, it looks like we have Randy. Randy, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Great. Randy, what's your question for Tito?
It goes to, somebody alluded to it earlier. They wanted to hear some more Shostakovich, and right now he's my fave. But for those of us who have been coming along for years, I told the young lady who called me last week regarding a survey that I can't listen any more Mozart, Haydn, Mozart. Please play some more 20th century music. But also, I've studied at ASU. I studied with Jim DeMars, and I would like to hear you play one piece by a college professor within the state of Arizona, even if it means going to U of A to do it. You know, Jim's written some wonderful music that I think would be well served by the Phoenix Symphony playing it. So it's basically the schedule, you know, the war horses and the grand pieces. I know Pictures on Exhibition will fill your hall every year. It goes to itinerary, Shostakovich, Penderecki. I don't know that I've ever heard Phoenix Symphony.
So, Randy, that's great. We need to. Is there a question for Tito? We just want to get a question for him.
The scheduling new music on your itinerary, in a nutshell.
Okay.
Well, sure, yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, if you look at our classic series, that is actually a big theme of this classic series is the new music on it. We have several. In fact, actually, half of our classics concerts are featuring pieces written within the 21st century, and so that is a big theme that's actually going to continue on in following seasons, because I believe very much in looking for really wonderful composers. So any composers that you have in mind that you'd like to send to us, feel free to do so. Because certainly I don't know everybody, and I'd like to get to know some people. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate that.
Okay, great. If you have a question for Tito, just press *3, and up next, William. Are you on the line with us, William?
Yes.
Great. What is your question for Tito?
Hey everybody, thank you. Tito, what is the performance in this upcoming season that you're most looking forward to, and why? For me, it's the Halloween of Hogwarts, is that kind of reminiscent of, reading those books when I was younger. What would be one you're looking forward to the most right now?
Well, of course, I have to tell you that all of them, of course, because that would be important for me to say. But no, I do have several concerts that I really was very excited about. I am excited to do this Pixar in concert. That is my Pops concert this year, because I actually won't be doing the Halloween at Hogwarts. That's going to be somebody else, but the Pixar in concert, which I've never done any music like that before, and that's going to be my first time doing something like that. So I'm really excited about that. But aside from that, there's so much stuff this season. I mean, I kind of picked all of the music and all of the programs with a lot of care and a lot of love, and so there's a lot of really wonderful soloists that I'm really looking forward to working with. Jennifer Coe, who's doing the Leonard Bernstein Violin Concerto. I have Shai Wosner is coming to do a Mozart Piano Concerto on an all-Mozart concert. I'm doing a lot of works by my composer friends, and so it would be really hard for me to choose one. There's just so much going on, and all of our classics concerts have a lot of things that I personally am very, very much looking forward to, and that's why I'm excited about this season. So thank you very much for that question. Appreciate it.
Again, if you have a question for Tito, it's *3 on your phone. And next up, we have Catherine. Catherine, are you with us on the line tonight?
Hello, I am with you.
Great. What's your question for Tito?
Well, really quickly, I just wanted to say I grew up in Europe and moved here a year ago from Los Angeles, and I'm so thankful for the incredible musicianship of the orchestra and, of course, the conductor. And I also recently went back to school to get my master's, and I want to say thank you for your College Club program because it's really wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, that's actually that program. I was shocked when I came here because it's such a good deal for college students. And it's wonderful. So yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you for that.
My question is there any particular piece of music that you heard when you were younger that really made you fall in love with classical music?
That's a great question. You know, I opened last season with the Suite from the Firebird. That was the opening piece on my opening night here, and I picked that particularly because that was one of the first pieces that I don't know if it was the piece that made me fall in love with classical music, but it's certainly one of the pieces that really kind of pushed me to pursue it in a more serious way. It was the first piece I played in youth orchestra. It was the first piece that I conducted on a big concert with my first job, which was the Cincinnati Symphony. It's the first piece that I just conducted as a conductor when I was younger studying, and so that's why I wanted to bring it to Phoenix, because it was you know, something that has been a first for me in a lot of ways. So I'd say that piece for sure. Aside from that, I remember learning really when I was really younger, first starting out in school orchestra, doing little arrangements of certain things. And I remember doing an arrangement of Rhapsody in Blue, which I thought was really awesome. And I did it was like a little arrangement for school orchestra of Bach's Brandenburg Third Concerto, which was great as well. So I've had I was lucky to have a lot of these early on experiences as a kid that solidified music in different ways, not only music but also playing the violin and then later on conducting. And it also, I have to say, came from education, because education is such a big thing, and I don't think I would have had that for myself if I hadn't had that opportunity when I was in middle school to be able to do that. So thank you very much for that question. I appreciate it, and we'll move on.
All right. Well, I tell you what, we're going to take just one more question here, because Tito's got to move on to a rehearsal tonight with the choir for this coming weekend. We'll take one more question here, and let's see, Shelley, are you on the line with us tonight? Shelley.
I am here.
Great. What's your question for Tito?
Well, it's kind of an obtuse question, but I had joined the Phoenix basically based on the rock and pop series and everything. I don't know much about classical music other than I know a little bit of Wagner, which I like. I'm just trying to figure out, is there a way I can kind of tune into what other classical music I might like other than just coming there and subjecting myself to it?
That's a good way of putting it. That's and look, I have to say, that's a really good point that you make, because when we talk about this, try to bring new people in like yourself who might be interested in, who just don't know. You don't know what you like or what there is or what there can be to really enjoy, because you don't know what you're going to do. I mean, classical music is so vast, it's so multifaceted. There's so many different things about it, and it's different than going to a museum, because when you go to a museum to look at a painting, you look at it on your terms. You can walk up to it, you can stand in front of it as long as you want, and then you can walk away whenever you'd like, and you can't really do that at a concert. So I definitely understand that dilemma. I think the best way to do it, now with the internet, now with access to so much stuff, I would just use Google. Google is your friend, and I would just start to just search for things, because on YouTube there are performances of just about everything written known to man. You can find performances of anything, and if you Google, what are some ways, initiation pieces for classical music? What should I listen to? What should I go for? I'm sure you'll find lists of different suggestions. There are different newspapers like the New York Times and the New Yorker. I know this because I'm a New Yorker myself, that sometimes every year list kind of top 40 pieces that people really, really enjoy. And you can start off doing that and start off, finding a composer that interests you, finding pieces that they've written, learn about them. The same way you would do with fine art, I think it's sort of the way it works. Same way you would do with a rock group that you really like, your favorite pop artist or your favorite rock artist. You eventually find that group that you like, or that person whose music that really speaks to you, and then you learn more about them. You learn about the artist. You learn about what they do. You learn about what they mean, and eventually that will bring some really great appreciation for it. Now, with our concerts, if you decide to just try a concert out, we do have pre-concert talks where we speak with the artist. We speak about the music before the concert. It always happens an hour before the concert, and it's usually with me or whoever's conducting. And then I usually like to speak at the concert as well, just to give a little bit of insight on the music that we're about to play, because like you being sort of new to it, every concert we have a lot of new people, a lot of people who have never been to a concert before, and I want to make them feel as welcome and as able to enjoy the concert as best as they can. So thank you for that question. I do hope to see you at a classical concert very soon. Thanks.
Well, everyone, we do have to get Tito along on his way to a rehearsal this evening. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. We hope it was informative. We're so excited to have Tito back in town to kick off our season. We are looking forward to seeing you all, hopefully this weekend, and if not, sometime during the season. Thank you very much for participating with us, and we will see you at Symphony Hall very, very soon. Tito, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Bye-bye.